Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin's continuing the breakout from this bullish price pattern in the immediate short term, the price is now confirming and already starting to play out a new warning signal in the immediate short term that we need to pay attention to. So in just a moment, I'll be going over my exact Bitcoin trading strategy moving forward, showing exactly what I'm planning to do to profit from the next Bitcoin move, while Ethereum is now retesting a crucial level on the price chart, while Solana is doing the same, but from the other side, obviously, now testing a crucial area of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, taking a really quick look at the US stock market today. This is the S&P 500 index on the 1 hour time frame, and over the last couple of days, obviously we've been playing out this short-term bearish divergence very nicely here on the 1 hour time frame. But just in the last 1 day or so, we saw a decent bounce back towards the upside, and then in the second half of the trading day yesterday, we did obviously see a slight little pullback. But right now, as of recording this video, we're currently in the pre-market trading just before the stock market's about to open as of recording this video, and so far we're seeing a bit of a bounce based on where we closed yesterday. And so in other words, we're basically coming towards the end of this bearish divergence playing out. Obviously it played out very nicely here over the last few days as expected, mostly in the form of initially a pullback and then some choppy sideways price action, which are the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. But right now, as of recording this video, obviously we are getting closer towards a possible all-time high breakout again. And as always, Bitcoin, crypto, and stocks have a high correlation. It's not a perfect correlation, but a lot of the time they are very correlated, which basically means if the stock market plays out a little bearish divergence, we could see a little bit of a struggle in the short term over the last 1 or 2 days, which is what happened over the last 1 to 2 days in the crypto market, just having a slight little struggle. But then, of course, if the US stock market, as we're seeing right now, is now once again pushing towards all-time highs, especially if we soon see a new all-time high breakout for the US stock market, that can also help Bitcoin and crypto with more short-term bullish price action. So keep that in mind moving forward. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today here on the weekly time frame, not much has really changed over the last 1 day. This super trend indicator technically still sitting in the red, and of course this weekly bearish divergence still active on the weekly Bitcoin price chart. But like I've explained recently here on the channel, we are moving closer towards potentially invalidating this bearish divergence. If, for example, we start to see a bit more of a reversal here in the RSI, like start to form some higher lows or higher highs, or a breakout above this line right here, then those will be invalidation signals to start to finally invalidate and confirm the end of this larger bearish divergence that has been playing out over many months, since basically around beginning of October last year. But if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, obviously right now on the 3-day time frame, we're playing out a smaller bullish divergence, which has already been actively playing out over the last few weeks as expected. And like I explained in my last video, if this continues to play out, obviously this is moving closer towards the invalidation of the larger bearish divergence. So like I said yesterday, most likely within the next couple of weeks, one of these divergences will invalidate. Either the larger bearish divergence will invalidate, or this bullish divergence will invalidate within the next few weeks. But at least in the next few days or the next 1 week, I do expect this to continue to play out here in the shorter term, most likely in the form of a slight bullish relief moving forward, especially due to the fact that we've just recently broken out above a very important area on the price chart that has been acting as very strong resistance for over a month, for almost 2 months, and that was sitting in between 92,000 to 94,000, especially that 94k level. That was a very strong resistance. We saw multiple significant rejections from that level over basically 1 to 2 months, as we can see on the price chart. But then obviously over the last few days, over the last half a week, we've confirmed a breakout above 94,000 with multiple candle closes above that level, and at least so far we're still holding above that level, which means the breakout is still active. So if we see any sort of pullback, I'm not saying that will happen, but if we see any little pullback, I'll now expect support in this area in between 92,000 to 94,000. And the next massive resistance to watch out for is at pretty much exactly 100,000. And above that level, we have more resistance at around 106,000. And not only are we just breaking out above an important area of resistance here, of course, that breakout over the last few days also technically confirmed this inverse head and shoulders pattern, which, in case you're new to all of this, this is a bullish price pattern, which now activates a bullish price target towards the upside for this price pattern. And that price target, in case you're wondering, is sitting at around $103,000 per Bitcoin. Now, obviously, it's not going to be a straight line towards the upside, towards that price target already in the short term. Obviously, we've had a slight little struggle, a little bit of a setback, which I explained earlier with the stock market struggling in the short term. And I'll also talk about smaller timeframes in just a moment as to why we're seeing a slight little struggle. But right now, we still have an active price target at around 103,000 for as long as Bitcoin remains above 94,000. Like I explained recently here on the channel, that's the point of invalidation. If we confirm, let's just say, a daily candle close back below around 94,000, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, that would invalidate this breakout, invalidate the price pattern, and invalidate the price target. And so basically, for as long as we're holding above 94,000, we're looking really good here for the price of Bitcoin. But once again, consider the fact that we have resistance along the way. It's not going to be a straight line. So obviously, at give or take 100,000, expect a decent amount of resistance around there. Potentially some resistance close to this price target at around 103,000. And then, as I said earlier, around 106K to almost 107K as another area of resistance. But right now, that's all still playing out here on the daily time frame. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, we can see this smaller bearish divergence, a very short-term bearish divergence, which technically confirmed over the last 1 day or so. Obviously, we have confirmed higher highs in the price in the candle closes, and now we have a clear lower high confirmed in the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI. And already over the last half a day to almost 1 day now, we can see this already starting to play out in the form of a slight little pullback. Obviously, a bearish divergence does not necessarily mean a massive crash all the way back down, but what it does mean is that we're likely going to show a little bit of weakness in the short term, just cooling off a little bit, lacking bullish momentum. So that can either be a slight little pullback, maybe some choppy sideways price action, but basically slowing down all of the bullish price action for a little while in the short term. It could be a matter of hours, maybe a couple of days, that sort of time frame, considering this is only on the 6-hour chart. It's not a long-term signal. And also pay attention to what the US stock market is doing. Obviously, if the stock market continues a little bit more of a consolidation before maybe an all-time high breakout in the next couple of trading days, in that situation, it's possible we could see a little bit more of a slowdown, maybe some sort of consolidation above that 94K level over the next 1 or 2 days, maybe even for the weekend. But then obviously if the US stock market continues an all-time high breakout, soon enough we'll likely continue the breakout further towards the upside for the price of Bitcoin, considering once again, while we're above that 94K level, this breakout and this price target is still active on the daily time frame. And so with all of that being said, what is my actual Bitcoin trading strategy moving forward? What am I actually doing with my own personal money, planning to profit from the next Bitcoin move? And well, right now, I'm still in the same trade that I talked about over the last 2 days in my last 2 videos. And in fact, over the last 1 day, I've made no new changes to this trade. So obviously 2 videos ago now, 2 days ago now, I opened the trade. I shared that trade basically as I opened it when it was actually sitting in a slight loss below my entry price. I shared it 2 days ago here on the channel. And at that point, 2 days ago, it was a $150,000 Bitcoin long position. In my last video, I explained I already took a little bit of profits off the table, basically closing a third of the trade right at these highs. You can even check my last video. I showed my exact orders. It's basically well above 97,000, almost at the exact high. You can even check my last video. I showed all of the orders being fully transparent. And so, like I explained yesterday, that reduced the size of the trade from a 150K trade down to a $100,000 Bitcoin long position. And over the last 1 day, once again, no new changes. So this is still a $100,000 Bitcoin long position. And then obviously over the last 1 day with this slight little pullback, the unrealized P&L has come down a little bit, but the realized P&L still roughly the same. Obviously, it's slightly reduced due to funding fees, but still roughly 1,000 USD in realized already secured profits and still a few hundred USD in unrealized profits. So obviously, if the price keeps pumping, eventually, if we, for example, play out the bearish divergence a little longer, but maybe in a few days from now, continue the breakout further towards the upside, obviously this long position would continue to make profits in that example. And so right now I'm just remaining in this trade right here due to the fact that this breakout is still active. Obviously, if we start to invalidate the breakout, like for example, confirm a break back below around 94,000, in that situation, I'll potentially look at just closing the trade because that would invalidate the trading opportunity, invalidate the breakout. But right now, that's not happened. This price target is still active, which is why I'm still remaining in the trade. But of course, I already took some profits in my last video, as I explained, because basically we had this short-term warning signal. So like I said right here in my last video, we could likely see a slight little cool off or slight little pullback, which right now is exactly happening. And as for other take profit targets, basically I'd be focusing on levels of resistance and of course the technical price target for this inverse head and shoulders pattern. So just before we hit 103,000, just under that level, I'd have potentially a take profit around there, and then also some take profit points just before we hit these major points of resistance. In case the price struggles or rejects from those levels on the price chart, I'll just slightly reduce the size of the trade at each of those levels, but not closing the entire trade at any one level. And so that's my exact Bitcoin trading strategy moving forward, showing completely for free here on YouTube, very transparently with you exactly how I'm planning to make profits from the coming Bitcoin moves. And of course, if you want to take trades just like this for yourself to easily profit in the market, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on the BTNX crypto exchange. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below the video in the description and in the pinned comment. In fact, the third link below the video will take you to the BTNX exchange, the exchange that I'm currently using myself for this Bitcoin long position. But if you want another option out there, which is also a no KYC exchange, then in that situation, check out the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the first link below the video will take you to the 2bit crypto exchange, which is also another exchange that I personally use. And basically this is a no KYC exchange, and you can also take advantage of major bonuses over here. There's over 18,000 USD in bonuses, trading bonuses, deposit bonuses, etc., which you can claim using that first link below the video to 2bit. So obviously if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out, take advantage of this using that link below the video to 2bit. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I also use to also take advantage of some extra bonuses, then in that situation, check out the second link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below the video will take you to the Pinex crypto exchange, where you can also take advantage of some major bonuses over here as well. So you might as well do this across these exchanges to basically claim a bunch of free money that these exchanges are giving out. And so if you use the second link below the video to make your Pinex account complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus onto your account. And on top of that, there's deposit bonuses here. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, you get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. And so obviously, effectively a bunch of free money from the exchange, which you can claim using that second link below the video to Pinex. So obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out, take advantage of this using that second link below the video to Pinex, and of course the other links to these other exchanges if you want to take advantage of some major bonuses. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now, honestly, we don't really have any significant level of liquidity that's actually close to the price of Bitcoin. Obviously, we still have that level at just above 89,000, but with that being said, we have a lot of support between the current price and that lower level. And of course, this breakout, for example, on the daily time frame is technically still active. This bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame is still active. So it's unlikely we'll go all the way back down towards that much lower level based on this reason alone. Obviously, that potential scenario would increase in probability if we invalidate this breakout right here. So if we confirm a breakback below 94,000, that would significantly increase the probability that we would hit that level at around 89,000. But right now, while we're holding above 94,000, overall, we're looking more bullish than bearish, especially here on the daily time frame when we're talking about what to expect maybe over the coming days or weeks. And with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and of course, over the last few days in the short term, we have seen a slight bullish move, but overall, in terms of this larger trend or the price structure for the Bitcoin dominance, we're looking very neutral. We're basically just bouncing around sideways on the price chart, as we can clearly see, and we have a lot of support at around 58.5% to almost 59% in the Bitcoin dominance, and a lot of resistance at just above 60%, especially around 60.5 to almost 61%. We have a lot of resistance around there for the Bitcoin dominance on the price chart. But overall, with the Bitcoin dominance looking somewhat neutral in terms of the structure on the price chart, this basically means a lot of the major altcoins out there on average will likely be performing very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, not necessarily playing out a huge Bitcoin season or an altcoin season, at least right now. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum Ethereum on the daily time frame. And right now the price of ETH is obviously still running into this resistance at around 3.3k to 3.4k. So continue to expect resistance around that level. But if we break out beyond 3.4k, in that situation, the next massive level of resistance is just above 3.6k. So really in between 3.6k to 3.7k is the next major target or major point of resistance to watch out for if we first confirm a breakout above around 3.4k. And if we're zooming into this area on the Ethereum price chart, but staying on the daily time frame, obviously we still have this active symmetrical triangle pattern, also known as a horizontal triangle pattern, which is still currently actively playing out a breakout despite the latest little struggle in the short term. Obviously, we're simply retesting this previous line of resistance, and at least so far, we're still holding this level as support, which means so far so good. Obviously, flipping previous resistance into new support is technically bullish price structure. And in case you're wondering, this line is sitting at roughly around 3260, so just below 3.3k. So for as long as we're holding that level as support, technically the breakout is still active, with a price target, in case you're wondering, sitting at around 4.2k, 4,200 USD per ETH as the technical price target for this breakout. But like I've explained throughout this video and many videos recently here on the channel, it's unlikely we'll go straight towards that level in a straight line. In fact, it's much more likely, and we're already starting to see it, we're much more likely going to play out some struggle along the way at certain points of resistance, like close to 3.4k, as I've been saying over the last few days, acting as resistance, and then also a lot of resistance at in between around 3.6k to 3.7k. But overall, this bullish breakout and this bullish price target would only invalidate if we see a daily candle close back below around 3260, especially if we fail to get back above that level on the price chart. In that situation, there'll be a short-term bearish signal invalidating the breakout and invalidating the price target. And personally, if, for example, we start to see the stock market pick up some more bullish price action, start to break out towards the upside, especially if the Bitcoin dominance is still looking neutral, or especially if it flips more bearish, personally, in my situation, I may look to start to open a long position for Ethereum very soon while this breakout remains active, while we're still holding above this level right here. We're still in the retest phase, so I'm just letting you know in advance. I haven't done it right now as of recording this video, but it's something that I'm looking at doing, in case you're wondering, not financial advice. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 3-hour Ethereum price chart, obviously one of the reasons as to why I haven't necessarily opened the position up right away is due to the fact that we have been perfectly playing out the overbought signal over the last couple of days here in the 3-hour Ethereum price chart. As I already warned about over the last 2 to 3 days, I said right around here, expect most likely a slight pullback or some choppy sideways price action, basically slowing down and cooling off from all of the bullish price action as a very likely scenario moving forward. And since I said that right here, obviously we've seen exactly that, because that's pretty much always usually what we see from an overbought signal. An overbought signal means we went too far to the upside too quickly, at least in the short term, and we just need some time to cool off in the short term to reset the RSI out of overbought. So obviously that's been perfectly playing out over the last couple of days, but now obviously the RSI has pretty much reset to almost towards neutral levels. Obviously we're almost back in the middle of the RSI, which technically now gives us more room towards the upside later on to possibly continue this bullish trend, maybe in the next couple of days. Not necessarily right this moment, but maybe in, let's just say, 2 days from now, for example. I'm not saying that's exactly going to be the case, but maybe in the next few days, we could continue a little bit more of a bullish relief because we've now reset the RSI out of overbought. And so that's why I've explained over the last couple of days, I will be possibly looking at opening a long position if we start to see a little bit more strength here start to turn around, for example, in the RSI. If Bitcoin obviously starts to, for example, invalidate this bearish divergence, then those will be some signals I'll be looking out for to potentially start entering into an Ethereum long position. But overall, I'm still net long on the market, considering I'm long on Bitcoin. So obviously, if Ethereum has this major bullish move here, it's also likely that Bitcoin at the very least will play out some sort of bullish price action. So even if I'm not necessarily in the Ethereum long position right now, I'm still obviously in the Bitcoin long position, still benefiting if we're seeing bullish price action in the crypto market. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, and right now the price of Solana is perfectly rejecting and struggling again from my exact area of resistance, still sitting in between 143 to 147. I haven't changed this level for many months now on the channel, still perfectly at that 147 level, acting as strong resistance on the price chart. So obviously continue to expect a lot of struggle and likely rejections from around that area on the price chart. But if eventually we confirm, let's just say, a daily candle close above 147 and hold above that level, ideally if Bitcoin and stocks etc. are also playing out some bullish moves, that can really help Solana and other altcoins. Obviously, once again, a lot of the markets are highly correlated to each other, but if we eventually confirm a breakout beyond 147 and hold above that level, in that situation the next target or area of resistance to watch out for is in between around 166 to 170. And technically speaking, despite the price struggling at this area of resistance in the shorter term, this bullish divergence is still currently active for the price of Solana on the daily time frame, which means we'll likely continue to retest this resistance while the bullish divergence remains active, trying to play out the bullish relief but running into resistance. So just struggling a little bit in the short term, just in the meantime. And so obviously not a lot has changed over the last one day for Solana. So getting straight into the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, and not much has also changed on this chart over the last one day, because this larger bearish divergence is technically still active on the weekly time frame. Now it's possible we're moving closer towards invalidating this, but we're not there just yet. Technically this is still active on the weekly XRP price chart, but obviously we're still holding above this crucial level of support here at pretty much exactly $1.80. And if we're zooming into the daily time frame, obviously previously over the last couple of weeks we played out this bullish divergence very nicely all the way up to overbought, at the same time as running into significant resistance, and then obviously we saw a major rejection from that resistance, which is to be expected, especially while we're hitting overbought. So that resistance is still sitting in between $2.30 to $2.40, but right now in the short term we're once again retesting this Fibonacci level of support, sitting at around $2.05. But like I've mentioned over the last couple of days, really in between $2 to $2.05 is the area of support that I'll be focusing on right now in the short term for the price of XRP. And like I've also been saying many times recently here on the channel, right now XRP is clearly lacking bullish momentum. We're clearly showing a lot of weakness. It's just we're also running into major support, which is preventing further bearish price action. So honestly, it's quite likely we'll play out maybe a little bit of choppy sideways price action, especially if Bitcoin and other altcoins play out something similar. If we consolidate somewhat sideways or maybe play out a little bit more of a bullish relief, it's likely XRP will remain above this support if Bitcoin, for example, continues more bullish price action. But right now, don't necessarily expect huge bullish momentum or huge strength for the price of XRP, because right now we're simply looking quite weak, but still holding above this crucial support. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a somewhat similar situation for Chainlink. Technically, this bullish divergence is still active on the daily Chainlink price chart, which means continue to expect either a sideways consolidation, choppy sideways price action, or slight bullish relief moving forward over the coming days or possibly weeks. And as for support and resistance, we have a decent amount of support to watch out for at around $13.30 to $13.50. More support at around $12.80 to $12.90, and we have a resistance at around $14.10 to almost $14.20, and major resistance in between $14.70 to almost $15. And honestly, over the next couple of days, I expect as a very likely outcome a little bit of choppy sideways price action for the price of Chainlink, while Bitcoin, for example, consolidates a little bit, most likely in the next one day, just cooling off a little bit. We're likely going to see something very similar for the price of Chainlink and a lot of the market just in the short term, maybe for the next 1 or 2 days, maybe even for the weekend. And so overall, those are my exact expectations and key levels and signals to watch out for in my exact trading strategy moving forward. And once again, if you want to take trades just like this for yourself, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to take advantage of some major bonuses that you can claim using those links below the video if you want to. And of course, if you want to know how you can take these sort of trades, no matter what direction the price goes in the price of any crypto asset, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.